Hey everybody, Hunter Fisher, Trapper, Trader, Guide, Scout, and Interpreter, and just a country cook, Steve Hall, here in Nashville, Tennessee, along with pretty Miss Sheila. Hi, Sheila.
Hi.
Today we're going to attempt to make a couple of different styles of bloomin' onions. Now, if you've ever tried to use one of these little machines or try to make a bloomin' onion and cut it and it just didn't turn out, welcome to the party, because they are difficult at best. But we're going to show you a couple little tips that might help you get a nice bloomin' onion done, or maybe not even do it that way. We're going to do bloomin' onions two ways today. Come on over here and we'll get started. What I do is at Kroger's, I buy sweet onions that are already peeled and they've already trimmed but left the root end there, but they've trimmed it off and trimmed the top off so it's ready to go. Then you can do the same thing. Let me get my little corer out here. Cut that down about halfway or 2/3 of the way, then give it about 6 or 7 turns like that. Pull it out. I just leave that core in there, it doesn't matter. Now we're going to come down about a 1/2 inch and cut all the way down, about a 1/2 inch down from there. You don't want to cut up here because you'll cut the petals apart and they'll fall apart, so about right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go almost like an X here. 1/2 inch down, go in and cut it. 1/2 inch down, cut it. Now we have 4 cuts and we're going to split the difference on these. We're going to cut that in half. Make sure you find out where they are. We're going to cut that in half, and so on and so forth. I like this process because you're cutting down away from your hand. You're not going to cut yourself this way. Okay, we got that all done. Now we're going to half it one more time. Get up about a 1/2 inch from the top there. Cut it. And every one of these, we're going to cut these petals to where we cut each one of them in half. You really want them small if you want that thing to open up properly. And we're almost done here. I think this is the last one. Yeah, now we're going to turn him over and see how we did. Looky there with our big onion. Now don't that lay out a lot nicer like that than this thing? But believe it or not, it's worth it to buy this to get this. Trust me. Now that we got them petals laying out like that, we're going to actually cook this one. We're not even going to cook the other one because this has turned out so nice like that. Buy a big onion because the weight of the petals will open it up for you. The smaller the onion, doesn't have any weight to do that. And then we're going to go in the middle here, and we're going to cut that core off, because that's where our little dish is going to set. And there's something else. I actually bought a cutter, and how they cook these at the big steakhouses is they cook it all just the way it is, and then when they sit it down, then they cut the middle out and put it so the pieces are already just ready to fall off in your hand. But this is ready to go. Now we got to need to make our batter. Let's do that. Okay, we're going to make our batter, then we're going to make our breading. Starting with the batter, we're going to put in 1 cup of milk and 1 cup of buttermilk. Now, most of the recipes out there on YouTube for bloomin' onion recipes have you just put 1 cup of milk, and then they sit there and struggle and try to get it. I just rather have a little bit extra, and they ask for 1 egg. I put in 2. Just that simple. We're going to whisk that together. And you know what? While we make our breading, I'm just going to set this guy right down in there. Let him start soaking up the goodies. Looky there. And here is our breading. We're going to start out with 1 cup of flour. And in this little cup that I'm going to dump in here, we got like cayenne pepper, paprika, regular black pepper, oregano, thyme, cumin, and we're going to mix it all together. And I'm going to put the amounts in the description box below so you don't have to mess with any of that. You know what? I'm going to put in another cup of flour in here and the same amount of spices, and I'm going to double them because I like to have plenty of stuff to work with. See you in a second. All right, I got another cup of flour in there, so I doubled the spices. And I'll list them in the description box below because I didn't even tell you the first time what it was. So at least now I'll get a chance to tell you. Here we go. We're going to take this rascal, get plenty of juice on all the little petals over here. Then we're going to shake off the excess. Try to get one hand a little bit dry, and I'm going to make a little well in the middle here for him to sit. Okay, now the key to this is to try to get breading down in between the petals down towards the base, because that's going to hold them petals open for you. Try to drop it down in there. Take your time instead of just throwing it all over the whole thing. Actually take the time to go row by row and get it, because we can always do the other part later. If you've ever struggled with these, that's kind of the best thing to do, I think, is to get a big onion. Now, there's something they do in the South. It's called double dipping, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to shake off the breading here a little bit. We're going to dunk it back in there and get another coating on there, and then back in our breading again. And we're going to coat it one more time. See if I can move this bowl out of my way, because I'm going to need all the help I can get now. All right. Now, I'm going to set this on this plate. I'm going to fan this out just like that. I think we covered it up really good. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to take this, we're going to put it in the freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes and actually freeze it until it's frozen a little bit. Then we're going to drop it in the oil. See you in a little bit. I got another big onion here, and I've already made all my cuts. And now I'm going to do something that you can do that'll make it so much easier for you at home. And that is stand it up on edge, cut the bottom off, and now look what we have. We've got all these wonderful, easy to bread, easy to batter petals. Now I really like to buy this kind of onion, chop the top off, stand it up and make all those cuts. Now you don't have to do that. If you just want to cut the bottom half off as well, cut the onion in half and lay it down, and then you can just cut in from the sides and you're going to get the same petals. Then you can make them as thick as you want and kind of cut in a curvature instead of just cutting straight down. Kind of follow the curvature of the onion and you'll get the same petals that you did when you had to sit there and goof around and make it every other one. Just kind of start at an angle and then walk your way up over the top. Like so. Now I just wanted to show that to you because that's one way that you can also make the petals for your bloomin' onion petals. But let's move on. You know, the turkey baster idea was really a good idea, but I forgot to do it when I was doing the bloomin' onion. But let's get back to the petals. We got our little petals here, and this is an easy way to do these because these get coated really good. You don't have to separate half an onion that's trying to bloom open in the middle of the process. And we're just going to stir these around here. This is the easiest way to do this. Aha! Look what I got. So I can put these in here, shake the excess flour off. I'm going to actually move these over to here for a second. See if I can get this to clean off of here. Yeah, it's doing all right. Perfect. Put these over here, and we're actually going to double dip these as well. So back into the stuff just for a second, then back into our breading to help dry it off. That double dipping, that really makes it crispy. It gets all kinds of extra breading chunks on there. You'll see when it's done. You won't believe how good it turns out. We could do another batch, and I might do that off camera, but I think right now I just want to get these in the fryer for you so you don't have to sit there and watch me tumble them around. But they are turning out really nice. You'd think double dipping these would be a problem as well, but it's not really. All right, good enough. We're going to put this in the freezer and we'll be right back with you. Okay, our oil hit 350. This bloomin' onion is back from the freezer. I got him sitting about halfway on this little dipper so I can set him in here. Now, some people put them in petals down for the first 2 or 3 minutes and then turn them over. But I ain't really into that because I think once you get them in here, come on off, they're perfect. Just leave it alone. Oh man, that'll settle down in just a second as soon as that gets done warming up to that oil temperature. But I'm kind of into the theory and thought that, hey, once you put it in there, don't be messing with trying to turn it in hot oil just to crisp the top. I guarantee everything that's in there is getting crisp right now. And we're going to cook that for 10 minutes. About 2 minutes after, and we'll see it 12 minutes after. I had Sheila turn the camera back on because you wanted to see this. Now, as much as I like to peek, you really shouldn't lift these bloomin' onions out, check them, and then put them back in because they get soggy if you do that, and you want them to be nice and crisp. Now, I didn't do this. These come up just like everything else we deep fry. Fish, chickens, turkeys, everything. As they start getting done, they start coming up, and it's fun to watch the little tips of that onion come up out of the oil on its own. And see, here's the thing, too. Here's something else. If you pull it right in the center, you'll notice that it drifts over to one side. That's because onions are magnetic, and they drift to magnetic north. No, I'm just making that stuff up. I have no idea why it's drifting to one side. Going, onions are magnetic? I hope they didn't run in the other room and tell somebody that before. But it is kind of funny. I can pull it clear over here. It just doesn't want to stay in the middle. I guess that's just because the heat's coming up from the center of the burner and pushing to the outside, and it just kind of naturally shoves it over there. But we are right at, about 7 minutes. So we're going to let it keep doing its thing. It's telling us that it's getting close to being done because it's floating to the surface, but we're not going to lift it out and peek. We'll see you in 3 more minutes. All right, we're at 9 minutes, so that gives me 1 minute to tell you this. Them big steakhouses, they cook them petals down and they spin them when they put them in. They don't freeze them. They kind of take their hand right over the deep fryer and spin it, but they got a big deep fryer they can work with. And then they turn them over later, but we're going to take this guy out, and doesn't that look absolutely perfect? Our bloomin' onion came out bloomin' good, I can tell you that. And you want to move this over here to a paper towel and let it start draining. And while it does that, I'm going to start loading these petals up for our bloomin' petals. Now, if you don't want to mess with one of these little machines and you don't want to cut all them slots upside down and then fan it out and do all that stuff, just do this. Just cut the onion up in half, lay it down, and cut around like I showed you earlier. Double dip them in the sauce that we gave you the recipe for and the batter to put them in. I'll put some of these in and get them a little bit of a head start here. There you go, boys. Come on, hop in there. Perfect. I kind of want to get these in right at about the same time, so I'm going to hustle here just a little bit to kind of get these in too. That way, I'll bet you anything, these all float to the top just like the other ones. And then we're going to have our bloomin' onion petals. We're going to set this on a plate. We're going to cut the middle out of it and put our sauce in. Then we're going to surround it with petals and a couple more little dishes of sauce. And we're going to just look good in the neighborhood. We'll see you in about 10 minutes with these guys. Well, it's been 9 minutes on these little guys too, and you can see they've all floated to the top. And I wanted to address something. You might have noticed that the oil had a little color to it. That's because it came out of my deep fryer outside. And I like to use the oil out of that deep fryer because it's actually from Bass Pro Shop, and it's cottonseed oil. And that's what they use for frying turkeys and everything, but it doesn't transfer any flavor. So you can cook onions, French fries, fish, turkey, and you don't taste onions in your next meal, so to speak, because the flavors don't transfer with cottonseed oil. You don't have to use it. You can use canola oil or anything else, but I always fill up my fryers with that cottonseed oil that's sitting right next to the deep fryers at Bass Pro. Let's get these little petals up here. And if you don't want to go through the hassle of buying one of them little teeny machines or doing all that stuff, you can always just cut an onion in half, cut it around like I told you, and look what you get. Isn't that fantastic? But you got to double dip them. You got to put them in your batter, then back in the wash, then back in the batter. All right, well, here's where Sheila and I go separate directions on this recipe. She said it looks great, looks massive, just leave it the way it is and set some dipping sauce on both sides and leave it. But that's not the way they do it in those big restaurants. So what I'm going to do is step over here, and first I was going to use one of these, which is like a biscuit cutter. And I've got a thing coming that is for cutting the center out of these. It's got a metal cutter and a big tall handle so you can shove down and these petals don't get in the way. Then I got thinking, well, what if I use a glass? That'll work as well. Now here we go. I'm either going to ruin this recipe or I'm going to do it the way they do it and kind of quickly shove down on there. I did it. I absolutely did it. Let me get this stuff back in order just a little bit. And here's what it is. That's what it should look like. Like that. See, Sheila? Well, there you have it. A bloomin' onion done two different ways. If you really have to have that big bloomin' onion look to serve your guests, you know how to do it. If you just want a bowl full of them petals so that you can have the same taste that you get when you twist one off and dip it, you know how to do that too. Real easy. You got the recipe for the batter and the breading, and we hope you enjoyed this recipe. In fact, if you like our recipes, all you do is look at little Shotgun Red's face when it pops up over there, click on it, and you can subscribe to our channel. And once you click on subscribe, it'll put a little check mark, and right next to the word subscribe will be a little bell. If you click on that bell, it'll give you a drop-down notification box. And what that is if you check it and hit save, it'll notify you every time we put up a new recipe. If not, you'll just get a few of them. I don't know how that works like that on YouTube, but you have to do that if you want all of them. And we hope you do. And over here, we'll throw up another recipe that you think you'll really enjoy. But is this the best bloomin' onion recipe, an easy way to make it? If you have to buy one of these, you do. I like it just because I got that thing out of the deal. I hope you enjoy it. And is this the best bloomin' onion you ever ate? If it ain't, it ought to be. Sheila, did we do good?
You did great.
We got through about 16 different versions of how to cook these things. Now let's only show them one way on how to eat them. We'll see you next time right here on Cooking with Shotgun Red. I've already had about half a dozen of these while she moved the camera. They're fantastic. See you next time.